So 5 older guy traits that women find sexy. As an older man, what causes a younger woman's attraction to you? Well, after more than 18 years coaching guys, a lot of them in their 40s, 50s, and beyond, guys who are dating or want to be dating women a good deal younger than them, I've narrowed it down to 5 triggers, 5 specific things that make a younger woman chase an older man, pursue him, and want to be in a relationship with him. And no, before you even type it into the comments, money is not one of them. In fact, leading with money is one of the fastest ways to kill the whole thing. I'm gonna prove it to you in just a minute. Hi, I'm Bobby Rio, and I've been coaching men for 18 years. And a huge chunk of the guys I work with are guys in their 40s, their 50s, their 60s. And I wanna start by telling you about one of them because I see this situation all the time with my older clients. This guy, his name is Vince, and Vince is 53, divorced. He owns a commercial landscaping company in North Jersey. Big guy, forearms like a freaking cartoon sailor, and he's been running crews of men since he was like 26 years old. And he winds up tearing his rotator cuff. I think he slipped out a hose or something, and he ends up in physical therapy. And his physical therapist is a woman, and her name is Dani. She's 30 years old, and she's into him. He's telling me the story. She's obviously into him. She's keeping him 15 minutes past this session. She's asking him about the business. She's laughing at things that just, when he's telling me about it, I'm like, that's not even that funny, and you're telling me she's cracking up. And for about 3 weeks, Vince doesn't notice that she's into him because in his mind, a 30-year-old physical therapist is not gonna be into him, right? She's not even an option. She's just a very nice girl who's maybe aggressively concerned about his shoulder. And because he doesn't think she's an option, he's being completely himself. He's dry, he's a little sarcastic. He tells her that he's not doing the resistance band exercises and he doesn't apologize for it, and he busts her balls a little bit. And she's eating all of this up. Then one day, she sort of jokingly, but not jokingly says, "You owe me dinner when this is over." Now, in Vince's mind, at first he thinks she's just, you owe me dinner, like, I did you a favor, you do. But she gives him a little look. And in that moment, that's the moment where all of a sudden the alarm bell goes off because now she's real. Now there's something to lose with her. And Vince, a man who, this guy's like fired grown adults before lunch, he turns into a guy applying for a job. He goes home and he follows her yoga studio on Instagram. He buys the sneakers that he can't even pronounce. Dani's all into astrology, and he actually showed me a text where she mentions like, Mercury being a Scorpio or something. And Vince, this guy who like owns a wood chipper, doesn't give a shit about astrology, is like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I'm like, what are you doing? She picks the restaurant. She picks the bar afterwards. She picks the second date. He takes her to a brunch place where the music's so loud that they have to lean in to hear each other. What, right? And by date 3, Vince isn't a man she's curious about anymore. Now he's like a tourist, a very polite, very well-behaved tourist in her world. And guess what? She stopped texting back. Now, the irony is, and here's what kills me about this, Vince spent 8 weeks trying to prove that he could fit into her life. And her interest in him had nothing to do with whether he could fit into her life. She was not attracted to his age. She was attracted to the reality that she assumed his age came with. Think about that for a second. When a younger woman looks at an older man, she's not thinking, wow, 53. She's filling in the blanks, right? She's imagining a man who's been places, who's seen things, who knows how the world actually works, who's mature, who's masculine, who's maybe a challenge in a way younger guys aren't. And this initially was Vince, right? He was a challenge. He was masculine. He had his shit together. He was, mature. He would tell her stories, not even trying to impress her, just stories of the life he would live, and she was into it. Now, here's what he didn't realize. The gap isn't the problem. The gap is the product. So when you spend every interaction trying to close it, you're not making yourself more attractive. You're deleting the only thing that she wanted in the first place. She's not looking for a man who can enter her world. She's looking for a world worth entering. And that's what these 5 moves do. They don't make you younger. They don't make you fit in with a younger woman's reality. They don't make you cooler. They don't make you relevant. They build you a reality or a frame around you that she now wants to step inside of, instead of you forcing your way into her world. So let's get into it. So number 1 is make her audition. Now, here's when I went through this with Vince, what he actually realized was leading up to her making that comment about, hey, you owe me dinner, she had been auditioning, right? He was doing this naturally. The problem was the minute he sensed, oh wait, I think she's into me, he stopped doing this and he became the guy auditioning for her approval, her world. So move number one is using a technique that I call non-judgmental qualification. And I want you to hear both halves of it because guys always butcher one of them. Here's what most guys do. She tells him she's a nurse. Wow, that's amazing. She tells him she does pottery on the weekend. Wow, that's amazing. She tells him she once went to Portugal. Wow, that's amazing. I've always wanted to go there. You're so different from the other girls I've met. She could tell him that she ate a sandwich and he'd go, wow, you know what? I love that. He's throwing validation at her like confetti at a parade that nobody asked for. And here's the psychology of why that's so damaging. When you validate her instantly, you're not telling her she's great. You're telling her what your standards are. And your standards apparently has a pulse and showed up and is willing to talk to an older guy. She's beautiful. She's been getting approval for free since she was 14 years old. Guys have paid for her drinks, they've paid her rent, they've bought her flights, and they've, expressed every one of her opinions that she already had as if it's the Bible. So when you hand her the same exact thing that everybody else hands her, you're not being nice. You're just being one of those guys. So here's what to do instead. You go at least 2 levels deeper before you give her anything. She says she's a nurse. You don't say, that's amazing. You say, so what made you want to do that, right? Straight face, no approval yet. So what made you want to do that? Because you know what? Maybe she hates being a nurse. Maybe she's doing it for a bad reason, right? So you don't need to say that's amazing. You say, what made you want to do that? And maybe now she replies with something like, well, I like taking care of people. Again, go deeper. Of course she likes taking care. That's a stock answer. Never reward somebody for giving you a lazy answer. Go deeper. You might say something like, yeah, but there's a lot of jobs. There's a lot of ways to take care of people. What specifically drew you to nursing? What got you into it? Now she has to think about it. And now she's got to give you a better answer. So this is where it starts to get real. Now she's going to think about it. And when she's thinking about it, part of the beauty of her thinking about it is she's now auditioning, right? Now she's like, oh man, he's not going to let me off the hook with a cheesy answer. She's got to go into her head and she's got to go, well, I remember visiting my grandma in the hospital when I was younger and how lonely she was. And I remember just like wishing that I could cheer her up. Now you've gone a few levels deeper and she's not giving you that stock answer. So now you can validate her and relate to her. Something like, you know what, I like that. Just being able to put a smile on someone's face or make their day feel a little better. That's cool. Or one of my favorites is when she says something that sounds a little rehearsed, like she says, I like to take care of people. You could say, most people who say that don't even mean it. Do you? Right? You're not interrogating her. You're not skeptical, you're not a critic. That's the non-judgmental part, right? You're not trying to like interrogate her and make her, it's not about that. And that's a part that a lot of guys get wrong because there's nothing worse than the older guy who's decided that he's a connoisseur, arms crossed, one eyebrow going up and down. Interesting. Oh yeah, tell me more. Do you really know that? Like he's appraising a used Volvo. That's not unimpressed. That's just kind of mean. And she can smell it. When you make her audition and you're using non-judgmental qualification, you're warm, you're relaxed, you're genuinely curious about her. You're just not easily moved. You're not easily impressed. You're not refusing to be impressed. You actually want her to impress you, but you're not easily impressed. You want to actually be curious before you go, oh, that's cool. Oh, I like that. And you're also screening her a bit, like, yeah, you're pretty. And again, you're not saying this. This is the attitude that you're conveying. You're pretty, you're young, but the world is full of attractive women. What else you got going on? And that's the whole thing right there. You've seen it all, right? Beauty has been in the room before. Beauty has sat across from you at dinner. Beauty has been a passenger in your car, right? That doesn't impress you anymore. It doesn't do anything to you anymore. And then when she actually earns it, you give her something, but small and late. Like, okay, that's actually interesting. Or the one that lands the hardest is, that's the first thing you've told me tonight that I didn't expect. You watch what that does to her and it's pretty amazing because she realizes like, oh wait, he's not just like impressed because I'm, younger than him or I'm attractive. Like he's been around. This is what you're conveying. And guess what? That's what she wants because now she knows 2 things. 1, your approval exists, and 2, it's not automatic. And when approval is not a participation trophy, it's way more valuable. It feels way better to her, right? I always say, if you ever watched American Idol and the contestant gets, Simon Cowell goes, "You were really, really good." It feels way better than when the other two judges did it because his approval was not automatic. And there's something hardwired in a woman that wants to impress the older man. Don't believe me? I'll prove it to you. She's been doing it her entire life. When she was a freshman, there was a senior that she was trying to win over. When she was a senior, it was the gym teacher. When she got to college, it was the professor who had half the girls in class staying after to discuss their paper. That instinct is already installed. You just have to give it something to reach for. Your approval isn't a gift you hand her. It's a door that she has to walk through. Okay, let's move into number 2. Tell her about herself. So tell her about herself. So one of the habits you want to get into when you're with a woman is you want to stop that little voice in your head that goes, what can I tell her about myself that will impress her? And you want to go, let me tell her some stuff about herself. And this is all about making observations and cold reads about her. And this is where your age stops being a liability and starts being a superpower, because most guys on a date are in like what I call interview mode. So what do you do for fun? Any siblings? Where'd you grow up? It's not a date. It's like a customs checkpoint, right? So what made you choose that in school? Like you're one question away from asking her to state the purpose of her visit. And the whole time, right, he's collecting facts about her that he has absolutely no idea to do with, right? These facts don't mean anything. Who cares where she grew up unless you turn that into a cold read. Like if she says, well, I grew up in California. Oh, I picked up on that, right? Now that matters, but most guys don't do that. Most guys just collect the facts and they don't use them. Here's what to do instead. Stop asking, start telling. You make statements about her. She tells you a story about, let's say, her friend group. And instead of you going, oh, that's crazy, you say something like, you're the one everybody calls at 1 a.m. And I bet money that nobody calls you to ask how you're doing. Or she mentions her family and you look at her and you go, you're the oldest, aren't you? Right? Not, are you the oldest? You're the oldest, aren't you? Or she's quiet for a second and you go, you're not shy. You just decided a long time ago that most people aren't worth the effort. Or she tells you about quitting a job or ending something and you go, you've never been the kind of person who gets talked out of things, even when you should be. Now, why does this work so violently well when an older man does it? Because you're not guessing. She's been alive for whatever, in Vince's case, 31 years. You've been reading people for 30 years. You've hired them, you've fired them, you've been married to one, you've raised them possibly. You've met 400 versions of her, and when you tell a woman who she is, and you're right, that's not a compliment. That's like an X-ray, right? A compliment she can deflect. Oh, you're so caring. Oh, anyone would have done that. But you can't deflect being seen. And here's the rule that makes this whole thing work, and almost nobody does this. When she says, oh my God, how did you know that? You never explain. You don't go, well, I noticed you said this and then you did that. The second you explain the trick, you're like a magician showing her the sleeve, right? You just shrug and you say, you're not that hard to read, and you move on. Now she's sitting there wondering what else you can see. Every guy in her phone can tell her she's beautiful. You're the only one who can tell her who she is. Now, the question you might be asking yourself is, well, how do I know this about her? How do I actually predict these things right? Well, here's the deal. First off, even when you're wrong, it's okay, because she'll go, why do you think that? And it still gives you a chance to have a more fun conversation in interview mode. But one of the things I always tell guys is you want to get good at truisms. Truisms are things that are true for 90% of the people, but they feel true when somebody says it to us, right? If somebody says, you're very analytical, but there's moments I can tell you just let go, right? Well, that's everybody. But if somebody says it to you, it feels like, oh, they know me. So you just start learning these truisms and you use those on women. Okay, so it's not that hard. Number 3, and this is actually going to help you with that. And this is going to be called worldly wisdom. Move number 3 is demonstrating and having worldly wisdom. And I stole this term from Charlie Munger. Charlie Munger was Warren Buffett's business partner, the guy who was still dropping wisdom bombs at 99 years old. I think he just died recently, but this guy, even when he was 99, was more interesting. And I learned more from this guy in listening to one of his speeches than I did in all of college. That's how smart this guy is. But he had this idea that he called worldly wisdom. And his argument was that if you only only know one field, you're basically useless because you'll force every problem in your life through that one lens. Every conversation will be seen through that one lens. He said it like this: to the man with a hammer, every problem looks like a nail. So Munger read everything. It's also one of my things in my life. I read books on every single topic you can imagine, right? Psychology, physics, fiction books, finance books, biology, history. And you don't do it to show off. You do it to have more tools in your arsenal. Now, most guys, even successful guys, have exactly one hammer, right? They know their job. Maybe they follow sports and they know about sports. And that's about it. That's the whole toolbox. So on a date, they've got two settings, right? Silent, or like a 19-minute unbroken monologue about commercial real estate that ends with her looking at a door like it owes her money. So here's why this matters with a younger woman specifically. She's not with you for facts. She has a phone, right? The entire library of human knowledge is on Wikipedia in her back pocket. What she wants is the feeling that you understand how the world works better than she does. Why? Because women are wired for a man who can protect them. And in the knowledge world that we live in, right? We don't live in a world anymore with saber-toothed tigers that you have to protect her. We live in a world that protection is all about knowing how the world works. She's wired to be attracted to that. Right? It's evolutionary psychology. It's programmed into women. It's a specific feeling, right? It's safety and mystery at the same time. It's the feeling of standing next to a man who's already read the map and knows how to navigate. So here's actually how to do this. Quick bits, right? 20 seconds, then you stop. She's complaining about a coworker who's a stickler about the schedule, and you say, that's not about the schedule. People who feel powerless, get religious about small rules. It's only place they get to win, right? Then you stop and you move on, right? It's about demonstrating you understand the world. And how do you get this knowledge? Like I said, the more you feed your brain, the more you're able to do this naturally. Maybe she mentions that she's saving for a new house. You go, the number that matters isn't actually the down payment, it's the taxes. Nobody tells you that though until you're already signed. Then stop. Again, you're not getting into a monologue. You're not lecturing her. You're just throwing it out there to show her I get it. I know how the world works. Maybe she's agonizing over a decision and you say something like, it feels big because it's loud, not because it's important. Ask yourself this: will you still care about this in a year? Then stop. Now I keep saying then stop because there's gonna be this tendency, especially if listen, I love to teach. I do YouTube videos. I have to be very careful with this because I love talking about these things, but you don't want to turn into you lecturing, right? You don't want this to become a monologue. I mean, actually stop mid-thought if you have to, because the magic isn't in the insight. The magic is that you stopped before she was done. Now she has to ask the follow-up. And the second she asks the follow-up, the entire dynamic has now flipped. She's now pulling information out of you. You're not trying to impress her with information. Now she's like, well, what do you mean by that? And you can talk about it. But again, a mistake older guys make is they turn into her mentor. And you don't want to turn into her mentor. You can mentor her as the relationship progresses, but you don't want to be the mentor from the start. The mistake I see a lot of guys make is take Vince and the physical therapist. Now Vince owns his own business, and maybe the physical therapist would have said, oh, I really want to own my own business one day. And if Vince was like, oh, here's what you do. I'll show you how to set up a corporation and I'll help you build your website. Well, that's not the right way to do it. The right way to do it is to throw some comments out there that, hey, I get how business works, but not take on that immediate role of I'm going to do it all for you and show you how to do it. It's all about her seeing you as this resource, right? That's the whole game. You don't lecture her. She's interviewing you in a sense, right? So here's your homework, and I want you to actually do this one. Pick 4 domains: psychology, money, history, and a weird one, right? Whatever it is. Maybe it's wine, maybe it's boxing, ancient Rome, submarines. I don't care. And get 3 quick bits in each, right? 3 sentences apiece. That's 12. That's like a lifetime supply of things that you can throw out there. She should always leave the conversation feeling like there was more in there and she didn't get all of it. Again, I'm not telling you to learn worldly wisdom so you can go on dates and lecture younger women. You just want to have things that make you seem worldly, right? The whole point is worldly. Being worldly, right? Having worldly wisdom. There's actually 2 adjectives that make an older guy attractive. Being worldly is attractive. Having wisdom is attractive. So a quick word before we move to the next one. Now, real quick before I get into the next one, which is a really important one, I want to tell you about something. I do a live free class a couple times a week with my friend Hank. Hank's 55. He's been teaching this stuff forever, and he's so under the radar that I'm honestly a little annoyed that I have to share him. I ask him questions to help my own clients, and I got him to sit down and record a training with me. It's called How to Turn Your Age into the Ultimate Advantage, and it's built specifically for older guys. We break down the exact tests a younger woman gives an older man, how to demonstrate quiet power, how to master slow validation, and how to talk to a younger woman from the position of being the prize. We talked a little bit about worldly wisdom. In the actual class, I give you some routines that you can use. I don't have time to go into them in this video. The class is about an hour long, so I have more time. It's completely free. The link is below. If you're 35, 45, 55, or even in your late 60s, register now, because I don't know how long we're going to keep doing this weekly class. All right, number 4 is non-reactivity. Non-reactivity. What does this mean? It means that nothing lands. Non-reactivity. If you look at this entire video and you only take one thing from this video, take this one, because she's gonna test you. Not maybe, not if she's a certain type of girl. She is going to test you, and with an older man, the tests are extremely predictable. You're gonna get, so how old are you again? You're gonna get, wait, you're basically my dad's age. Possibly. She might say something like, you're in really good shape for your age. So yeah, so some of the tests revolve around that, right? Age baiting you to see how you react, to see if you get insecure. Or a lot of younger women don't know, right? They meet an older guy and they're like, he seems attractive, he seems cool, but is he a creepy older guy? So what they do is they drop something sexual on the table too early or out of nowhere, and they watch your face like a hawk. They want to see if you get all weird or you get all creepy about it. And most guys have 3 settings, and all 3 lose, right? Setting 1 is he defends. Well, she mentions his age. Well, I mean, I feel 35. I do jiu-jitsu 3 times a week. I look young for my age, don't I? I did a Spartan race. Buddy, nobody asked for your resume. And you just told her that the age thing actually does affect you, right? Setting 2 is you get quiet, you go internal, you're suddenly very interested in playing with your napkin. Or setting 3 is you get a little mean about it, which is just setting 1 wearing like a leather jacket. All 3 of these reactions tell her the same thing. You have a soft spot, right? And it's real. And now she owns it. And here's the part that almost nobody understands. The test isn't the question itself. The test is what your face does in the half second after the question. She doesn't care about the answer. She never really cared about the answer. She's checking whether there's anything there to knock over, right? I call it a frame test, a strength test. She wants to see, like, can she rattle you with a little question? So here's what you do instead. You do it with a smirk, not a smile, a smirk. A look that says, I see exactly what you're doing and I've seen it done before. She goes, how old are you? You go, old enough to know exactly what you're doing right now. Or you're like my dad's age, then you should be a lot more polite to me. Or you're in good shape for your age and you're perceptive for yours. You just roll off. You don't get affected. You just respond very naturally, right? And when she throws out the sexual bait, the thing designed to make you flinch or pounce or get red or creepy, you do neither. 1 raised eyebrow, right? Cute. And then you finish the sentence, whatever you were talking about previously. And that's the strongest move. Just finish your sentence. Because an insult only lands if you agree with it, right? She can't make you insecure about your age. Only you can do that. She's just knocking on the door to see if anybody's home. She's not trying to throw you off balance. She's checking whether there's anything to throw. Can she move you? Move number 5, lead. I can remember going back to Vince and the physical therapist when he was telling me about the first couple dates he had with her. And the minute he's telling me that she picked a place, that she's really into wine, and he was saying it like it was a good thing. Bobby, she really liked me. She picked a place when we got there. She had like this cool place to sit, and she ordered this like drink she liked, and she bought out, and I'm like, yeah, she led the whole night. You were like the girl in the relationship. This is one that turns all of this into actual reality, right? You lead and you assume she's coming with you, because here's how most guys do it. So I don't know if you're free at some point. Maybe we can grab something, no pressure, obviously. Totally up to you or not, whatever's easiest. He thinks that's respect, but it's not respect. It's like a hostage negotiation where you're the hostage. What he's actually doing is handing her the decisions so he doesn't have to own the risk of wanting something. And she feels every ounce of that, and it's not masculine. My buddy Rob Judge, I've watched him do this for 20 years, where he's on a rooftop with a girl and she goes, I can't come back to your place, I have to be up early. And Rob doesn't flinch. He doesn't negotiate. He doesn't go, oh, come on, just one drink. He just goes, then I better pour fast. They left together, right? He never argues with her. He just never accepts that the plan he had changed. So here's what to do instead. You tell, you don't ask. Not, would you want to get dinner sometime? You go, Thursday, there's a place I want to take you. Not, do you want to head somewhere else? Instead, you say, come here, we're going. Grab your jacket. Not, I hope you like it, it's got good reviews, I checked. You go, you're gonna love this place, or you're gonna hate it, and I'll enjoy that too. And you deliver all of it like it's already decided. Not forceful, not pushy, just the way you tell somebody the sun's coming up on Tuesday, right? Because here's why this makes her feel safe, and this is the part a lot of guys miss completely. A woman stepping into an older man's world is taking a risk. She knows it. Her friends have opinions about it. Her parents have opinions about it. She may go out with you and the waiter may assume you're her dad in some cases, right? And the only thing that makes that risk feel good instead of scary is the sense that you know exactly where you're going, right? That she can relax, that you've got the wheel, that you're in control, right? You're driving. The second you ask her permission, you've told her that you don't. That like, hey, you're not a good driver here. And if you're expecting her to drive, if you're expecting her to take that wheel, she's gonna go, I'm gonna go over here instead. That's the piece that makes it all work, right? If she says no, it's nothing. You don't sulk, you don't negotiate, you don't follow it up with 3 texts explaining that you're not that kind of guy. All right, you're lost. And you mean it lightly, right? Not in a mean way. All right, you're lost. Right? You can't come back. All right, you're lost. We'll do it another time. That's the difference between leading and pushing. Again, you lead, and if she doesn't go along, it's non-reactive, right? Pushing is when you need her to come. Leading is when you're going either way. It's all just fun. You've been on this planet long enough to know that. A woman doesn't follow a plan, she follows the man who already has the plan. So look, if you take nothing else from this video, remember this. All 5 of those moves are the same move. Making her earn your approval, telling her who she is, knowing how the world works, not flinching, not being reactive, leading her. Every one of them says the exact same sentence without you having to say it out loud. I have a world. It was here before you. It'll be here after you, and you're welcome to enter it. That's the whole thing. You're not auditioning for a spot in her reality. You're building one and leaving the door open and going about your day, and she's gonna want to enter that reality. And that, not your hairline, not your knees, not whether you know who's on the radio, is what she's actually looking at. So like I mentioned, my friend Hank and I recorded a free class specifically for older guys, and it's called How to Turn Your Age into the Ultimate Advantage. Again, Hank is 55, he's been in this world a long time, and I still call him with questions about my own clients. And one of the things we cover is this money thing that a lot of guys are concerned with, because it was actually Hank years ago when I was talking about money and older guys and how they're hung up on this. He said, first off, like, money is very relative. Some people think $100,000 is a lot of money. Some people think $5 million. Money's relative. And unless you're living in like New York City or Los Angeles and you're in a certain circle, like that physical therapist that, you know, Vince was hanging out with, Vince doesn't need to be a millionaire, right? He just needs to have his shit together. And I think it's a mental block that in this class we're really gonna help you overcome. Like I said, we cover the tests that a younger woman gives you an older man, how to pass them. We give a lot of examples. We talk about how to demonstrate integrity and quiet power, how to master slow validation, the traits that younger women actually look for in an older man. We give you these ways to become more interesting, actual routines you can use, that by the end of the class you're gonna have a pocket full of these things you can use, and how to communicate with her from the position of being the prize. This class is completely free. You can register at the link below. If you've ever caught yourself in that moment where she's interested and instead of enjoying it, you started working, this class is gonna change how you see the entire thing. I don't know how long we're keeping it up, so register right now. And as always, if you like this video, hit like, leave a comment, and make sure you subscribe so you don't miss future videos.